Young Peter Black was a good man, but everyone said he had one big fault. He loved to tell wild stories. Peter was the sexton at the Church of St. Thomas the Believer, there in the little town of Tabby-on-Thames. One night, Peter couldn't sleep. He tossed and he turned and at last got up to make himself some tea. But when he glanced out his window, he saw the windows of the church ablaze with light. Peter pulled on a coat, crossed the yard, and quietly unlocked the back door. As he crept through the vestry, he heard a sound from the church. Meow, meow. He peered around the curtain hung at the church entrance, and what he saw made him gasp. There was not one cat, but hundreds of cats, of every size and coloring. They filled the pews, and all of them sat upright, just like people. Peter stood shaking till they were out of sight, then nipped off home as fast as his wobbly legs would bear him. He found Father Allen at supper, with his cat, Tom, nibbling from a dish by the table. "Father, it's about those cats. I was crossing a meadow, and I heard a dog barking and all these cats crying meow." "Meow," said Tom. "Yes, just like that," said Peter. "And then the cats came riding into the meadow on foxes, all of them chasing this dog. But then the cat with the crown fell off and hit his head and... Father, why's Tom staring at me like that?" Father Allen put down his fork. "Peter, I've warned you often enough about your wild stories. Now, if you come to me talking like this again, I'm going to have to let you go. Do you understand?" "But, Father, it's no story. I swear it." "That's enough, Peter. Now, I'm sorry to ask you so late, but I have another chore for you. Mrs. Pennyweather has passed on suddenly, and tomorrow's the funeral. I need you to dig her grave, tonight." So it was that Peter was digging in the graveyard by the light of the full moon. It was hard work, and he had to keep resting, and it wasn't till right around midnight that he finished. Just as he was about to climb out, he heard a distant meow, then again, meow, and again, meow. "It's the cats!" declared Peter. He scrunched down in the grave, then carefully peered over the edge. Coming across the graveyard was the black bishop cat, and behind him were 6 more black cats, carrying on their shoulders a small coffin. The box was covered with a pall of black velvet, and sitting on top was the golden crown that Peter had seen twice before. The cats walked slowly and solemnly, and at every third step cried, "Meow." Their path went right by the grave where Peter hid, and when they were but a few feet away, the bishop held up a paw for a halt. Then he turned and stared straight at Peter, and spoke. "Tell Tom Tildrum that Tim Toldrum's dead." Then he lowered his paw, and the cats walked on, and at every third step cried, "Meow." Well, Peter scrambled out of that grave and bolted for Father Allen's. He pounded on the door, shouting, "Father! Father! Let me in!" At last the door opened, and Father Allen stood there sleepily in his nightshirt. "Peter, what's going on?" "Let me in, Father, please, and I'll tell you." Father Allen led him into the library, where Tom yawned and stretched on his cat bed. The priest lit a lamp. "Now, what's this all about, Peter?" "Father, you've got to believe me. I was out digging Mrs. Pennyweather's grave when I heard a meow." "Meow," said Tom. "Yes, just like that," said Peter. "And I looked and saw 7 black cats, and one was the bishop, and the others were carrying a coffin with a crown, and they came right up next to me, and the bishop stopped them and stared at me just like Tom there, and... and, "Father, why is Tom staring at me like that?" "Peter," began the priest. "But Father, I tell you, he spoke to me, and he gave me a message. I'm to tell Tom Tildrum that Tim Toldrum's dead. But how can I tell Tom Tildrum that Tim Toldrum's dead when I don't know who Tom Tildrum is?" "Peter, this is the last straw. I've warned you again and again." "Father, look at Tom. Look at Tom." Tom was swaying, and Tom was swelling, and Tom was standing on his two hind legs. And then Tom spoke. "What? Tim Toldrum dead? Then I'm the king of the cats." Tom leaped toward the fireplace, and with a single meow, he bounded up the chimney and was gone, never to be seen again.